Hi, my name is Moria Levy, and I want to speak with you today about digital channels management, or may I also call it, in a less sexy name but much more practical, community channels management. So there are several digital channels that we all use in organizations' communication. Once we used to speak only face to face, then we had the phones, and then when the digital burst out and we started digitizing more and more things, we found that we have more and more ways to communicate one with another. A typical list of channels can include mails, yes, not new, but very, very popular, very, very useful. Facebook, yes, I'm also speaking about Facebook because mainly we think about it in association with our friends, how we speak with our friends, with our acquaintances, people who we know, sometimes in professional terms, but with the outside world. But even here that I'm speaking about a communication program, a digital strategy within an organization, Facebook can serve either if you open it as a closed group or if you use Workplace, that is the equivalent of Facebook's company for working and for offices. WhatsApp that started just as an SMS or a very highly sophisticated SMS turned to be a very useful channel that we communicate with using it in so many ways and for so many different types of needs. Portals. We can find in our internet portals, whether organization portals and professional portals, each one of them including communication channels, announcements, updates, news of all kinds of types and all kinds of needs. Slack that tries to integrate them all into one because there's no reason for mail and portal and Facebook and WhatsApp each by itself. Slack also, if I just want to emphasize on it, Slack also has one more advantage. Slack enables you to separate between the work environment and your private environment. We also have the phone that, yes, we may look at it, we may think about it as non-digital, but of course it has digital features and it works on digital. We have the Microsoft Teams, Forms. When I speak about Forms, one may ask, why do you look at it as a communication channel? But Forms are a wonderful way to ask people questions, to have some surveys, to check what they think, to learn from them, just in a structured way. Newsletters, of course, that we find digital newsletters in any organization, and these newsletters enable us to bring the highlights, the most important things, and then call the people into our portals, into our libraries, into other places where we have much deeper information and knowledge that we want to communicate. Of course, we have the websites that are the twins of the portals. We have the mobile applications that many times include as part of them a digital channel or even are specially built for this need. We have Zoom chats, and that is rather tricky because too many times we're speaking with people we want to communicate with, and now I want to write something. So will I write it on a Zoom chat or will I write it on the WhatsApp chat? When I'm speaking about Zoom chat, you can also understand that this typical list is mainly for digital textual communication, because if I'm speaking about visual communication only, I would be speaking about Zoom as itself. And when I was speaking about MS Teams, I also referred mainly to the textual part. Of course, there's a lot of place to speak about communication through video, but that's totally a different topic that should be considered, but in a different place and time. Telegram, of course, one of our great friends, let's call it the new WhatsApp or the more sophisticated WhatsApp, Google Meet, and it's of course it's chats, TVs, which we have the plasma that are shown in all kinds of factories, in all kinds of organizations, as enable the organization to communicate more knowledge, more information, more news in one more way and one more context. There are more and more. So it sounds good, doesn't it? And the truth is that at the beginning it was good, but now it's too much. It's too much because we don't know how to use these digital channels. And when we use them in an incorrect way, it can harm because the employees, the workers, they feel overloaded. They feel not even overloaded, they feel like it's an overflow of information. Like all the time we are sending more and more and more and more, and it's really happening. Not only because we have so much to say, but when we're not sure, too many times we are sending it with this channel and with that digital channel, with that digital channel. And they're getting the information again and again and again, and for so many places that they don't even see everything. They don't even open every email, and they're exposed to too much content. And the bottom line is that they don't open or they don't see part of this information, part of these news, part of this communication. And we get the opposite influence than what we wanted. We come to a situation where instead of communicating with our employees, with our workers, with our people who we want to be in communication with, we come to a situation where we are annoying them and they're not even knowing what we want. I put here a picture of a person that is probably not that slim because it reminded me of a saying that I heard several years ago, stating that the same way that the Western economies move from dealing with the lack of food, the lack of nutrition at the beginning of the 20th century, and they turned at the end of the century to again having people with diseases and sick, but not because of the lack of food, but because they had an overflow, and it all turned to be junk food and heart attacks, sugar problems, all because the overflow of the food. So the same way it turned from lack of food to overflow of food, coming to the same bottom line. People sick, people die. The same thing happened to us. When we start with lack of information, lack of knowledge sharing, to overflow of information, knowledge shared, and sometimes the bottom line is the same. We don't use the knowledge, so why even bother? So when an organization wants to decide how to choose what the specific channel that will be helpful, that will be the most effective for them, they can use a criteria list. It can include factors like the speed of receiving a response. Because if there's something that you have to know now, you'll choose a specific channel and not another. If you have time, you're not in a rush, there are other channels that may be better. For example, I know a bank that for the most immediate messages, they use SMSs because they are sure that everyone will know what they have to know here and now. Another criteria on the list can be the variety, the scope, the different types of messages that you can include on the same channel. Because too many times you don't want to have a long list of channels. You want to have a short list that covers it all. So if there's one that is like a joker, you can put there too many things. It can be very useful when we don't have something better to put in. Of course, the parallelism, the option to transmit through one channel to several other channels and use it as an intermediate, as a broker. here there's something that maybe I don't agree with, but I'm showing you a pre-prepared list, and I'll show you the source in a minute or two. But it's worth thought. Maybe it's not the most important factor on the list, but it is worth thinking about. The ability to regret. Because when we used to speak one with another, seeing one another's face and only speaking with our mouths and listening with our ears and with our eyes, if someone would feel uncomfortable, maybe even insulted, oh, we would change our wording in a minute and say, no, I didn't mean to, I want to say something else. But when you send it out on some digital channel and you don't get the comments, you don't see the reactions, you are in a problem. So the ability to regret is something that one may consider. The option to reuse the information and again. Sometimes I send a WhatsApp and then a day later I say, here, I reply to my WhatsApp to everyone and say, reminder, and I reuse the same message. I can copy it and reuse it from place to place, from time to time. I may add here, before we go to the next one, that it's not only reused by copying it or by pointing to it, but sometimes it's also reused because when we have a message that's out there, someone is searching an answer for a question, he finds it without even needing to ask the question again. One additional factor should be the segmentation. How easily can we cut our audience into subgroups and send each segmentation specific messages? And last but not least, no, is that last one? Maybe, yes. Last but not least, complexity. There are messages, and we must take this into mind, that are too complex for some of the channels. For example, WhatsApp and SMS, Telegram are not built to effectively hold complex messages. So if it's short, clear, you can send it out on some immediate messaging channel. But if it's complex, we need another channel specifically for that. And I just wanted to share that this list is a list that's not new at all. It's a list that I took from North and Goldenberg's research paper. And what's nice is, even though the channels they were speaking of are not our channels, not at all, the criteria list is yet relevant. I would add some more criteria for the new world. We are looking for attractiveness. Our user experience is important to us. We are looking for a way to have a multi-directional communication channel. So we speak and others answer. We speak and others comment or react. And even, may I say, with emojis and not only with texts. We're looking at something that may give us an innovative feeling. Okay, it's a new channel. It's not something old. And sometimes I think we should add another criteria, that the messages stay where they are. Because too many times they go down the feed and you don't even feel them. So if someone sends me an email, it stays there until I decide to delete it. But if someone sends me a WhatsApp and I see it and say, yes, later on, and the feed goes on and on and on, so later on, I don't even know that it was there. I cannot even say that I forget it, because I didn't really even memorize it to be able to forget it. So this is another criteria that I would add for the new generation. And last but not least, we're speaking about visualization. Whether if we want to go out of textual communication and be broader and add also the face-to-face communication, or whether if we're looking at other types and other aspects of visualization that we think that are important and we want to add to our list as well. So what am I suggesting us all? To plan our digital strategy, our communication strategy, by choosing a covering variety of channels. Of course, we start with a criteria list, but based on this criteria list, we choose a covering variety. We decide what should be used when and in what context. And again, here I want to be a bit more accurate. Pull and push aren't the same because there are channels like portals, websites that are easier for me when I want to pull the information, to pull the news, to read what's happening, newsletters. And there are other channels that are much more effective if I'm looking for the push to notify someone when I want him or her to know, not when they have time to know and read. And the last thing that we have to take into mind is how to manage the overlapping. How much overlapping will we allow? Because it's always we will have, if we want to have good coverage, we will have some overlapping, but let's manage it and have it in the right balance. So this could be a digital strategy. When you build such a strategy, and this is an example, one of the pages of an example that we've built for one of the banks in Israel, you start with mapping the existing state. What channels are in use? What are the natural of these channels? The natural nature of these channels? What are they used for? For celebrations, for news, for information, for now and here, important things. After we map them, we analyze them, understanding what are the advantages of each channel, the way we use them or the way we can use them. Then we start defining our needs, the why, what is in our organization successful communication, effective communication. Who are the audience we want to speak with? What will be the critical success factors and the key success factors that will bring this success? And then we end with mapping the existing state. With mapping the new channels that we chose and when, in what context to use each. If it's not in your organization, you can also have a work plan explaining what changes do we have to do in order to achieve this new strategy. So building a strategy makes us think about the channels, makes us think about what's right, and helps our intuitive work to turn to be more structured, and therefore the communication that is so important in so many contexts to be much more efficient and much more effective. But one request, don't plan too far on specific channels because they will change. And who knows what channels we will use in 2, 3, or 5 years. I promise you, I'm very curious and I'm sure that we will have new ones that we even didn't dream about. So thank you and have a great channel.